Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday Sermon Epilogue, where we review what happened in the Sunday service each week through this series in revival in the book of Ezra, the hope and promise of revival. I'm joined today by Elia Kudari, who's one of our elders here at East White Oak, and we're just going to talk about a few questions related to the events of this morning's worship service. Elia, welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here today. Why don't you share with us something that stood out to you in the message or in our service today?
Absolutely, Pastor. A couple of things that I was touched by this morning. One is, as you were explaining, the courage of the people in those days to pursue the work of God.
Yes.
So that's, unless they were convinced or convicted of God's plan or work,
That's right.
they wouldn't have continued. But God brought them to a place where they could have the courage. Another thing is, it is from their side, right? So
Yes.
they are demonstrating that courage by doing that.
That's right.
So that's one thing, that they were willing to continue the work of God.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing that I was touched by is in verse 5, it says, the eye of their God was on them. So it's both God's work doing in their lives and they responding to the work of God.
Yes.
So that I see very valuable to understand, both God from God's side and our responsibility
That's
in
right.
reacting the work of God.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is so interesting because we do find the sovereignty of God in revival, but we also see people being instruments.
Yes.
Who actually do things,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I just want to encourage you to be thinking about that as you make your way through this text, perhaps again, or as you review your notes, to be thinking about, Lord, what is my role?
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I wanted to chat with you about, and we've joked about this over many years, actually, that so many of the things that you teach in your ABF, and Ellie has been a teacher in our ABF for several years, they end up being something that I've talked about in that sermon that very day. And now you are in the book of Zechariah, which is very contemporaneous with Ezra. In fact, Zechariah's name is mentioned here in Ezra chapter 5. So tell us what's going on in your ABF, what its name is, what hour it meets, and what are some things you're thinking about in Zechariah?
Absolutely. The ABF that we are part of is called Acts 2:42. Where we go through the 4 pillars as if that were mentioned there: fellowship and prayer and the word and the doctrine. And then the only thing is breaking of bread, but we break the bread differently.
That's right. Yes.
So that's, we kind of have a, go through various books of the Bible to, and then study and then pray for one another and encouraging one another. The book of the study that we are doing is, it just so happened. We did
not plan this. We didn't plan that we would do this together.
Right. So it happened to be the Zechariah. So we are looking at the other side of things as the people are striving to build a temple and continue the work of God. In Zechariah, we see how God encourages them by providing His plan and providing the panoramic view of His work for not only just for them at that point of time, but also to the end of the age, as if, and how He brings from a spiritual standpoint and then from God's standpoint to encourage them to pursue that work.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this is amazing because Ezra is much more of the historical and frankly the bureaucratic issues related to the rebuilding of the temple. And Zechariah is really giving us a picture of the heart of God toward this rebuilding. Absolutely. And one thing that I was just struck by was to consider God's goodness and His beauty. And that kind of became a theme for me today as we went through the text, was just thinking about the goodness and beauty of God. So these are things that you'll see in Acts 2:42 and the ABF. If you aren't a part of an ABF, I would encourage you to maybe join Elia and the group at Acts 2:42 as they make their way through Zechariah. One last question that I have for you today is, we talked about the memory.
Yes.
In the second half of chapter 5, part of Tatanai's letter was the Jews' response to the questions, who are you and what are you doing? And they recalled with memory who God is and what God had done. What kinds of memory do you have of God's work in the past that encourages you?
Yeah, it's especially in relation to his promises and his dealings with people at various stages of their life, especially coming from India, the opposition that we faced, and then how my parents withstood against all those oppositions in working, continuing the work of the Lord. Whether I'll tell you one small story. One time they made our parents to close the doors of the church.
Okay.
So they put some rowdies or some people to stop us from getting there. So anyone to get inside. I could remember vividly what my parents did at the time. My father, he wanted to go and open the doors, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
But we know if he does that, what happens, because they are going to either beat him or even kill him. So my father went ahead, and then he wanted my mom to come a little bit later, because if there's something to him, at least he will escape.
Okay.
And then she made us to follow her, because so we can take care of a few things. But he went ahead and then opened the door. By God's grace, nothing happened. Yeah. But when we remember things like that, and how God encouraged them, gave them courage to pursue that, it kind of helps us to continue that.
The boldness for the true God is something that reinforces your own courage. Yeah. What an incredible story. I think about Jacob and how he sent some of his family on ahead and kind of held some people back. And when he was going to meet Esau, your dad kind of followed that example, didn't he? But to think about your own memories of how God has worked and used courageous people in the past is going to help you as well in your own pursuit of revival. And let's pray. And in fact, this coming Friday is a time where the church family gets together to pray, 6 to 10 p.m. It's kind of an open house, so feel free to come when you desire and leave when you need to, but would encourage you to be a part of that family prayer time that's coming up this Friday. May the Lord bless you as we all seek to have God revive us, our church, and our world.